Hello, I'm Mark Gatiss from TV's The League of Gentlemen and TV's Doctor Who and TV's TV, and you're listening to Tuesday Night Out, which is not just for the gays, although I am a gay, so you're welcome to me.
So you say there's been 400 different murders in the last few years?
Yes.
In what sort of period of time?
I think that's since about 1998, and I have to say, so as not to worry people, that the majority of those tend to be in North America, where they are much more transphobic than in the UK. In the UK, I think on average we get about somewhere between 5 and 10 people murdered each year, which is pretty bad.
It's still 5 or 10 too many, isn't it?
Exactly, but it's not as bad as it is in some countries.
Well, let's be fair. In some places in America, if you're not white and a
Christian
little bit Christian and a little bit backward, then you're just wrong. Well, no, I'm sorry. It is true
to a point.
Yes.
Other people are available.
There are places in America that haven't actually joined up in the same century, I think, with the rest of us at the moment.
No.
There is a story, of course, on yesterday's Pink News that America's largest lesbian and gay, bisexual and transgender civil rights organisation has drawn attention to the murder of a transgender woman who had previously been a victim of police brutality. Dwayna Johnson, whose abuse at the hands of 2 police officers earlier this year was captured on surveillance video, was found dead in North Memphis just before midnight on Sunday, November the 9th, and she'd been shot. So they want that treated as a trans murder as well, don't they? And it's awful
they do,
at the hands of the police.
Yes, because that video from the surveillance camera was on the net, and it was a very obvious case of trans hate crime.
It's bad, isn't
No,
it?
they wouldn't have treated any other woman in the way they treated that poor woman.
No.
And I can't understand how people can do that under surveillance cameras.
I know, it's absolutely bonkers, isn't it?
It is, because it's bound to come out.
Can I ask you a question, Jenny?
Of
because
course,
it's something that someone put to me once, and I had great trouble in answering this question. And it's because we all strive for equality and sort of just normality, basically. It's, it's a normal thing, and, there you go. So when people say it's a trans murder or a gay murder or something like that, should we still not be striving just to say it's a murder?
Well, we should if everybody accepted that trans and gay and lesbian and ethnic minorities and any other minority are just ordinary people.
Yeah.
The problem is when the crime is also fueled by the fact that somebody is gay or trans or a black person, then that adds another dimension to it. Because probably that crime wouldn't have happened if they hadn't been that minority.
Yes, that's a far more eloquent answer than I came up with. When I got asked that, I sat there and went, when your mind just goes blank. I suppose we've got to get to the point of equality before we can take the tags off the crimes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, one of the things that we say, which is meant as a compliment to the gay community, we hope for the day when being trans is just as ordinary as being gay or lesbian.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand, because you've all been demonstrating outside Stonewall as well, haven't you, outside the recent awards?
Yes, we did.
Did you take part?
I didn't, unfortunately, because I was teaching class that day in another city. But some of our young people from Manchester and Liverpool went down. That was to protest against Stonewall, even recommending somebody for an award who was transphobic.
Yeah.
And I think that's very sad because, as perhaps people may not know, the original Stonewall riots were not started by the gay or the lesbians, but by the drag queens and the trans people. And then, for some reason, when Stonewall got going, it excluded us from their organisation.
Hijacked by a bunch of puffs. You know what we're like.
You said that.
I did.
I've got another question now.
Right.
Teaching class. Do you mean you're teaching people to be classy? Do you take some right commoners and make them wander around with books on their heads?
Well, I've got a delegate for you.
We do deportment classes for the girls.
Do you?
Yes. We run support groups, and part of the support is teaching people to behave more in a female way if they're going that way. And we also have trans guys who are going the other way, and they have to be taught to perhaps be a bit macho.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. I didn't realise you've got all these classes and support groups and stuff. That's brilliant, isn't it? If anyone wants to get in touch with you about those, how can they do that?
Very easy. They can contact me through my email.
Yeah.
Very easy. It's Jenny Ann B UK, which is JENNYANNE BUK at yahoo.co.uk.
Okay.
And I'm always happy to talk to people and try and help.
Okay. Is there a website or anything at all, in case people are not even up to that point of going, I don't want to actually speak to anybody?
Right. Well, then, the website to go to is probably our unique one in North Wales. That's the easiest. It's www.uniquetg.org.uk.
Brilliant.
And then there's lots of information there, and there's also the emails of all our committee people. And, sometimes the people come on and they look at the pictures of us and they think, oh, she looks friendly, I'll email her.
Yes, yeah. And, of course, is it Northern...
Manchester Concord. It used to be Northern Concord meets every Wednesday evening in the Rembrandt, and all the newly coming out trans girls usually go there. It used to be Northern Concord, but nearly a year ago, the members themselves took it over and changed the name to Manchester Concord. Northern Concord still has a website and still runs its own social events.
Right.
But Manchester Concord runs the weekly Wednesday evening meeting.
Was it a breakaway faction? Or was it a strop?
It wasn't really. It was a combination of, they used to be in the Hollywood before AXM took it over, and the rent got too high, and so they moved to the Rem. And at the same time, the girls thought, well, time for a change. We'll change the name to Manchester Concord. And they also have a website, which, if I remember rightly, is www.manchesterconcord, without an E on the end, .org.uk.
Thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your function this evening.
Thank you.
And we'll speak to you again soon.
Indeed. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.